What we're going to do, I think, we're going to go around and everybody can talk about what this means and what possibilities and opportunities you think is going to be for West Virginia, and also really for our country, and things of that sort. And then what we'll do is Tom and I and a few of us will go out and we'll do a press, we'll do a little press gaggle. We'll do that later. Is that okay? That's where we have it. Well, let me just say that this has been a long time coming, and Tom sitting on my right here with Equitrans Midstream will even tell you it's been a lot longer. But this thing has been in the works for an awful long time, 8 years or more. It's gone through every review process, and my friend Tim Kaine, who put an amendment in yesterday, and he and I are friends. We talked, and he said, "Joe, I just feel very strong." And I says, "Well, I feel more strong than you feel. I feel more strong for it than you feel in opposition." Tim had a lot of problems with the judicial, and I said, "Tim, I've got a lot of problems with the judicial. It's been there nine times before the Fourth Circuit, and I don't think that we'd ever do anything to satisfy the Fourth. I just don't think we could get there. We tried. So where we are right now, we have a chance to finally have this finished. It will be finished now. I just stopped at Bradley, in Bradley, West Virginia, by Beckley, and went to your yard, and I saw all the pipe that it takes to finish. I saw 20 miles of pipe, and it'll hopefully start going out to the sites pretty soon. But so for all the people that are concerned, that did it go through all of the necessary reviews? Absolutely. It went through more reviews than anything has been reviewed at this extent, I think, in the country. So we renamed the Mountain Valley Pipeline to the most valuable pipeline in America. And I think so. When you look at a 42-inch line, there's not that many 42-inch lines in the country that I know of. Most of them, 36 is about the largest we've seen for a long time. 42 means that we have an awful lot of supply and a lot of supply gas from our great state. But we can help our friends and neighbors throughout the Southeast that really are in dire need. A lot of the senators were I think, surprised when I told them about the shortages that happened down in the Carolinas. During the last storms that we had, the winter storms, they were paying anywhere from $50 to $60 an MCF for just shortages of gas, and we're paying $5, maybe $4, $5, or $6 at our height. And to have people paying 10 times more, being that close in the greatest country on earth, having a tremendous supply next door, and we couldn't get it to them. It's just criminal. So we're going to cure that. But I've been very proud to be involved in understanding more. I got involved with Tom. He can tell the story better than I can, but I said, we got to do something. When Atlantic Coast Pipeline went down, I worked with Tom Farrell for a long time with what was the name? Dominion Energy. And God rest his soul, Tom passed away not long after. They just finally gave up. He said, Joe, I think he had $7 billion involved in that process to date when they pulled out, something like that. He just says, we just can't, I have no answers. I don't think we could ever get through. The permitting process wore him out to the point, literally and figuratively, but he pulled the plug on it. And they just believe that they can do that. And it keeps going back to the agencies. The debt ceiling that we passed has some permitting reform in there. It's going to help us an awful lot. It's just streamlining, not as much as we want to be done, and not as much as we think we can do. But it was a good start, real good start. And I think it showed a lot of confidence into the system and the markets right now. But anyway, the debt ceiling, we averted a shutdown there, which was a default, and that was never going to happen. And the way we did it was done in, I think, the most professional fashion. First of all, when you had Kevin McCarthy on the Republican side of the House did his job, and he did something that I think they didn't think could happen. He sent it back. He said, we have a piece of legislation. He sent it to the Senate. At that time, then the president decided to sit down again. I think that got the ball moving again. I wish they would have started 3 months ago, 3 months ago, 90 days. But I'm just glad they did what they did. And that's the way the process is supposed to work. Democracy works when both sides have different points of view, can come together and coalesce around one and come out with it. So when you have the extreme left and the extreme right, which you've seen, were not supportive, but you had the middle, and that's where this country is, in the moderate middle, that was able to step forward. They were able to pass it on the House side almost equally with as many Democrats as Republicans. I haven't seen that happen. I've been there 12 years. First time in 12 years I've seen crossing over. Ever since Dennis Hastert was Speaker, they tried to do the purity test. So if Republicans were in control, you had to have 218 Republicans or you didn't even bring it to the floor. If Democrats were in control, you had to have 218 Democrats who didn't come to the floor. That's not the way it used to work. It's not the way Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan and them used to do business. You brought like-minded, valued people together. You're always going to have the extremes. So they had about 150, 160 of each Democrat and Republican passed it. We passed it with 63 senators last night with Democrats and Republicans. And I was just very proud of the process. You know, you can sit back and bellyache it took too long, but the bottom line is we've sent a message to the world that the United States is not only, the democracy is not only alive and well, that it still works. If you have the stamina for it, it'll work. And we did. So to say America's energy is the most valuable thing we have, if we're not energy independent, then we're not a superpower. And if you have the resources, which we do, and you don't use them, then shame on you. And if you ask someone else to do something you don't want to do, then you're not a leader. And that's how I looked at the whole thing from the day one. Since the Ukrainian war started, what Putin did to the Ukrainians, what he did to Europe, and what the United States was not prepared at that time to step in and help our allies around the world. And we had to step in and do that because they're going to find relief somewhere. So I think we've got a good piece of legislation. I'm proud of everybody that works so hard. The Mountain Valley Pipeline is part of a broader bipartisan deal, as you've seen. But the bottom line is it was the crux that basically everything got to high drama last night around 10:30. And people were doing different things, switching votes back and forth, voting yes, voting no. That was going back and forth. And we had enough backup. We had enough reserve. I was not worried about getting it done. I knew it would get done. We finished with 69 votes. But there was just, the jockeying goes back and forth, and you have to understand the process. So some people that voted that were maybe voting more on the environmental end of it and didn't want to upset anybody, they basically waited. And, we had the reserves that we needed if it would have taken that, but it didn't. So with the Democrats and Republicans voting last night was 69. I was very proud of that. And everybody did a great job. I said Carol Miller over on the Congresswoman Miller on the House side, she was committed and she worked it hard over on that. Shelley Moore Capito, my colleague on the Senate side, has been there from day one working it with me. I happen to be in a position to where when we brought it to fruition and brought it more than a year ago, it was part of the original package. Everyone thinks there was two different bills that we came in and we did two different bills. We didn't. We had one bill called the Inflation Reduction Act, and that was based around energy security. You can't have energy security and you can't be able to produce the energy you need unless you have permitting reform. Permitting reform was part of the original bill. Mountain Valley Pipeline was part of the original bill. It was not a set-aside. It was not a separate, well, you vote for this and I'll do this. You can't have energy security if you don't have the one product, which is the largest pipeline that would have been putting more product in the market quicker than anything in the world, in the country, and it was not part of it. So someone says, well, you've picked Mountain Valley because that's your home area. I says, well, that might have been part of it. I said, but I can tell you, Mountain Valley Pipeline picked its own self because it had 94% completion, 2 billion cubic feet a day within 6 months in the market that desperately needs it. I don't care where this was at, it should have been done. So that's that. They were all part of the first original package. Then, because of the rules of the Senate, it got split apart. That's how they start saying the deal here and the deal there. But I will say this. The president kept his word. He gave us his support all the way through as much as he could. It was just, only so much they can do and intervene. You can only tell your agency so many things, but we've accelerated things. Things were starting to pick up. They were accelerating, going through the process. Tom can laminate on that, but we're in the best position right now, and they fulfilled it. This would not have happened if our Republican friends had not come to the table. But Republicans had always been big supporters of permitting. Democrats have very seldom ever. On major reforms, I'm the only Democrat that would vote for a major permitting reform. So to have this happen when the president put his stamp of approval on it, to have the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, basically write a letter of support that was a national interest, that's big. I'll give you 3 instances where the tactics that we used and how we got this done has only been done a couple times in the history of our country. But the most recent was when in 1973, the Alaskan pipeline. It could have never gotten through. It would have never gotten through. And that was Ted Stevens. He found the opportunity, and when you find the vehicle and opportunity, you do it. They got it done. The next one was 1979 was Howard Baker. Howard Baker wanted the dam for the TVA. He had to have that dam for the TVA. Couldn't get it done. Would have never got it done through regular order. He tried everything he could. He finally found the vehicle and did it. And then Mountain Valley Pipeline. We found the vehicle and we did it. So we're in a kind of historical position right now, but I can tell you the country's going to be much better off for it. The reliability in the system is going to be much better off for it, and the citizens. And a lot of the indirect benefits are going to be to our military bases. The Carolinas are hurting. I talked to Lynn Good, who's the head of Duke Energy. She has 4.5 million customers. She said, Joe, you don't know how desperately I need this. I said, my people should not be left in a desert as far as energy deserts. And she says, we've got to have this product in the market. So we're happy to help all of them. And hopefully we'll be able to help the LNG at Cove Point 2 to where that's going over to our allies overseas. So I'm very proud of that, and what we'll do is just go around the table. I'm thankful that you all came on such short notice, but like I said before, this is a good short notice trip. David they pulled him off the course. He had to come, I understand. So Tom, why don't you take it a little bit and go into what you've seen.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you all for coming today. I'm the chairman and CEO of Equitrans Midstream. We are the developer, operator, and the largest partner of Mountain Valley Pipeline. And our mandate as a midstream company, as a natural gas infrastructure company, is to transport natural gas where it's produced to where it's needed and will be consumed. So this is the absolute perfect example of taking 2 billion cubic feet a day of capacity and supply from the Marcellus Shale, where companies like Antero and EQT and others produce some of the least methane intensive, cleanest natural gas in this nation, transported 300 plus miles to North Carolina, South Carolina, and further south, where the demand for both reliability and affordability is continuing to grow. So while the media and the market talk about transitioning away into renewable energy, that's true. But the absolute demand for natural gas will continue to increase for the next 20 to 30 years. So Mountain Valley Pipeline is essential to allow for continued production in the Marcellus Shale and to continually provide reliability and affordability to those millions of customers that the senator talked about. The senator characteristically is being modest about how we got here today. Mountain Valley Pipeline has just withstood 100 months of environmental scrutiny. We are on our 3rd round of federal and state agency permits, to the point where we would go through 1 round, get fully permitted and authorized to proceed, spend $1 billion or $2 billion constructing, and then our opponents would be successful in the 4th Circuit to have our previously issued permits vacated. Then we would have to spend another year to go back and get the permits reissued. As the senator said, we're 94% complete. The sad news is when this project was first brought to the boards, the budget was $3.5 billion. When we finish, hopefully late this year, December, January, The cost will be almost $7 billion, $6.6 billion, all due to the delay caused by never-ending litigation. I heard a term, it's like the judicial hellhole. And it wasn't until last night that we've been extricated from that. One other point I'd like to make, and then I'll let others speak, and I'm happy to answer any questions later. Far be it from me to disagree with Senator Manchin. However, I have to. In this fact sheet that has been distributed, they talk about the first time that he did something as being February 8th, 2022. That's not accurate. Because prior to that, 9 days prior to that, the Fourth Circuit vacated our most recent round of permits, and my cell phone rang and it had no caller ID on it. I pick up the phone and he said, "Hi, this is Joe Manchin. Tell me about how this happened. Educate me about this. This doesn't seem right." And it was from that phone call on that everything escalated to where Senator Manchin is going back to his old glory days as a football player. He took up the mantle as quarterback. He drew up the play and was relentless and tireless up until last night to execute successfully on that play. We could not be more grateful. All of those customers in those states should be grateful. West Virginia should be grateful. The Mountain Valley Pipeline, once it starts to flow gas, will pay approximately $50 million a year in ad valorem taxes to the state of West Virginia. The royalty payments to landowners will approximate $200 million a year. That's real money. It's real money that should have been flowing 4 years ago by the end of 2018 when the project was scheduled to be completed. Were it not for Senator Manchin, and yes, for Senator Capito, for Representative Carol Miller, for Guy Rethenschaller, for Representative John Joyce, for Speaker McCarthy, we wouldn't be here today. But again, make no mistake, the quarterback of this team was Senator Joe Manchin. Thank you. Thank you very much.
One thing I wanted to mention, because Tom spoke about that, you cannot start a project unless you have a market for it. You can't even get a start. You can't even get an audience. So he has to go to FERC. FERC determines, is there a need? Is there a market? Do we have a customer that wants this product? That went through that process 3 times with FERC. And every time FERC identified the desperate need we needed for this product, the gas we have in West Virginia. And still yet it was not urgent enough. That took still 8 years. That's what's ridiculous. Let's start and we'll go around. Charlie, why don't you start and we'll go up this side and we're going to come right down. And everyone, I want just what you think this is going to do and how it affects our state.
Everything.
So we got Steve Roberts. I just saw Steve come in. Steve Roberts with our chamber. Thank you, buddy.
You've done so much. It's very hard to put it in words, but you are the quarterback. You've established that long ago, and we couldn't be more proud to have you as our senior senator. I would say if you're in the oil and gas business, is there anything prettier than a rig running, a pipe in the ground, and customers getting product? And that's what this means. It means jobs. Tom referred to the ad valorem taxes, 2 BCF a day. That has to come from someplace. That equates to severance taxes, other taxes, commitments to ball teams in small communities. I mean, it ripples down to where this is huge, more than huge. And thank you so much for everything you've done.
How will it affect the small operators as far as certainty of getting their products in the market?
Well, this pipeline starts in Wetzel County, so however the feedstock comes into that entry point, small producers, large producers, and that is where it starts, and it's that's the heart of West Virginia, Wetzel County. I mean, it all kind of started there a few years ago, and here we are, and we have waited with sweet anticipation for this day.
Greg?
Senator, thank you for having us. I think one of the things that I observe as I look at...
Why don't you introduce it?
Greg Hoyer with Diversified Energy. I think one of the things that I observe as I see you and Tom talking is, and I've been around the project. I think I came to see you very early. And all the hardworking folks that have put the pipe that's in the ground as of today are seeing this come to fruition. And I think that is a big testament to your vision and Tom's vision and making sure this thing gets across the finish line. And I think from an economic development standpoint, from an industry standpoint, the sky can be the limit. And this is the ability to raise ships with the tide. And that flow of gas certainly will do that. So I think the industry, I know the industry thanks you and the rest of the delegation that have supported this. And I think we have good things to come.
Chuck Parker with the Operating Engineers, Local 132. As I said before, we're very glad that this got passed. We've got thousands of construction workers ready to go back to work that have been worked on that project before. One of the true joys of a construction worker is to see the end of the project, what they've completed. Now that'll be able to happen thanks to you and a couple others. But we really appreciate it. We've got thousands of guys just waiting to go to work, and gals also. So thank you.
That pretty much emptied out your the hall's pretty good.
We'll be close, but we'll be able to do it. Bring more.
That's great, David.
My name is David Butterworth. I'm with Pipeliners Local Union 798. I represent the welders, helpers, and journeymen on pipeline jobs. There's 4 crafts on the jobs. You have the Teamsters, operators, laborers, and us. And we're the ones that weld the pipe together. That's what we do. That's what I used to do till I got this job. But I want to thank Joe. And I know I've probably been aggravating. I've been poking him. I'm the guy that the workers call every winter, what's going on with MVP. And it's been 5 winters of what we haven't had a man hour on this project since 2020. Now, the cleanup crews, they're working, but the welders aren't there. So, in middle of 2018, we had 8,500 members. Let me explain, I'm Virginia to Maine, east of the Ohio River, and there's about 1,000 of us that do this for a living in the Northeast, and then about 450 in West Virginia and probably about 500 in Pennsylvania. So, that's where the work at is where people live. So we were at 8,500 members in the middle of 2018. We're down to 6,000. This has really, really hurt us. But just like Joe said, this is going to provide certainty. It's going to provide energy independence. It's going to be great for West Virginia, the country. The precedent that we were all worried about being set is not being set. And I just want to say thank you so much. Love you. Appreciate it. And I'm going to let the next person talk.
Proud of you, Dave.
I'm Jonathan Adler, the Executive Director for the West Virginia Association of County Officials. And I don't know if I can top what Dave just said, but I do want to keep with the sports theme and just say, Senator, thank you for hitting another home run for West Virginia. This certainly has done this, and it's a great week for America, and it's going to be important for our local economies, local governments, the counties that the pipeline will run through, but also I think all of West Virginia, because you're helping us maintain our standing as an energy leader, not only nationally, but around the world. And the economic opportunities that this will afford will certainly it's boundless. And thank you for your energy and your foresight and your perseverance to make this happen. Thank you, Senator.
Senator Manchin, I'm Melvin Young. I'm a commissioner from Monroe County, and all the people in the industry. I guess Monroe County it's going to help Monroe County financially. A few years I met with some people from the pipeline before I became a commissioner, and they estimated that the excess tax revenue coming into the county was $1.7 million at that particular time. Now, that was with the demand that in the past, the demand for the fuel. The demand now worldwide is, so that 1.7 could be but when you look at the $1.7 million, 1.22 $4 million goes to the school systems. Everybody's talking about, how it's going to filter out and get into the communities. It will get into the communities, and then it's going to help. Monroe County is probably it is. It's the prettiest county in West Virginia. There's none any better
I
than
wouldn't
Monroe
expect
County.
you to say anything different, Melvin.
But it's an opportunity for our county to be able to. We're having trouble keeping police officers, being able to pay them, to keep up with the pay for surrounding areas. Monroe County is not a big mecca of industry, and doesn't have a red light in the county. But I'm thankful for the effort that you put, and I know Andrew, a lot of times he got tired of hearing me calling him, we got to get this done, so I really do.
Let me say this about Melvin, so you'll know. Monroe County has been probably one of the most noise coming from opposition. Would you not? Probably.
Yes.
Okay. So, but that's a minority. That's an extreme minority. Would that be fair?
That would be fair.
The good people in Monroe County want this. They've been supportive, but they're quiet. They don't want to cause a problem. They're just wonderful people. And this is it's what you've gone through, but basically they think that this is going to destroy the most beautiful county, as you put it, one of our most beautiful counties. I think that basically done right with a quality company and the way it's going to be done, it's going to enhance a lot of opportunities, and that's the thing. They've talked about going through, when you go through national forests, they cut, if you're a hunter, sometimes you get in woods that are so thick, it's kind of hard. It's really hard. You're looking for clearings to hunt. And where we usually find the clearings is on the right-of-way. And if the proper grasses are, when you sow it and seed it, you give us the food that's more natural to that habitat, it's an enhancement. Everyone wins. The hunting, the fowl, all of them, the animals win. And everybody, if it's done right. And that's what we've been preaching all along. And I know, Tom, that's where you all are going with this. Looking at, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but Melvin, like I say, I think it's going to be a tremendous boost for you all and very helpful for your county, but and it's long overdue.
I'm ready to I'm tired of seeing all those big excavators. The only thing I wish it was on my property, but it'll be good to see them out there and see the grass growing and people, things back to normal in the county.
Steve, now that you're here, why don't you have a pulse on what's going on nationally and really what's going on here in the state?
Senator, thank you for inviting me to be at this table. It's wonderful to see everybody who is here, and I want to start by echoing what Tom said. Thank you so much. The West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, whose members employ over half of our state's workers, has seen the Mountain Valley Pipeline as an opportunity for our state and our nation. We've seen it that way from the very beginning. We've been frustrated, as has been said here at this table, by the many delays, and thank you for your hard work. I have to say that I stayed up late last night. I got up very early in the morning to see who had voted how, and I just was thrilled at the outcome. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you to all those who participated in helping to make this a reality. West Virginia has moved into the position of being the 5th largest energy producing state in the nation. We need it all. Tom, thank you for pointing out that there is a long runway for all of the energy that we need and can produce, and we know we have a safer, more secure world when the United States produces lots of energy. Commerce is driven by energy, and we can give you all that you want from right here in West Virginia. So thank you, sir, for your leadership and for getting this done for us. We appreciate it. We needed it, and we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I'm Hannah Hudson with Diversified Energy. I wanted to thank you personally for your continued fight and victories for our industry, because my generation coming into the oil and gas industry, we look up to that, and we know that it's possible to achieve that and to keep this industry going. So that's all I have to say to you. Thank you.
Tell your dad I said hi, and thanks for all the encouragement. Rusty gives me encouragement every day. I like it.
I'm Lori Miller-Smith with the Gas and Oil Association of West Virginia. I, too, want to say thank you, Senator, for everything you do for our industry. I've worked in the oil and gas industry my entire life. My husband also has worked in the industry his entire life. And it's a wonderful industry, and thank you for everything you do.
Andrew.
My name's Andrea Alvarez Weimer, and we have some family businesses that do support services for the oil and gas industry. First, thank you for allowing me to be here, and just to be a part of this moment is wonderful. Our businesses were started by my grandfather. I'm now the third generation entering into the businesses, and what this means to me and to our businesses is that I can successfully carry on the businesses, that stability is now there, is with infrastructure like this. It's going to continue to provide jobs to all of our employees, and that's the main thing that we do in our business is we provide good paying, reliable jobs to West Virginians. Is that there's no reason for other companies out of Texas, out of Oklahoma, to send people here when we have good West Virginians to come and do this work. So thank you for all your initiatives, and I'll echo Hannah's words of just creating energy sustainability for the future. When I look at my children, it's important that we have this, so thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Mary Beth?
As you are aware, Senator, Antero Resources produces, I'm Mary Beth Anderson from Antero Resources. Antero produces about 40% of the gas in West Virginia. 3 rigs running this morning. Every basin has its supply constraints. The Appalachian Basin isn't different from others, but boy, the Appalachian Basin has supply constraints. So when you have this pipeline open, it relieves this sometimes glut and oversupply that we have here, right? So it should provide support for local price points. When Russia invaded Ukraine, we had questions at Antero from Washington, D.C. and other places. They said, well, can you drill more? Can you produce more gas if we need to? Well, that's a complicated question. You got to figure out what your investors, what your capital expenditures are going to be. You got to figure out the labor and workforce shortage, the supply chain. But if you can navigate all that, and you can bring, we've got 3 rigs this morning, Wetzel, Tyler, Doddridge County. If you can bring 3 more rigs in, what are you going to do with the gas, right? You'd shut in wells. So this pipeline is important really directly for national security. It's a victory for common sense. I know we are all more involved every day in this grid stability question. Are we going to be able to bring all the renewables in as fast as we want to without having our West Virginia energy kind of stepping up to fill in the gaps in the meantime? It's a victory for bipartisanship. As a native and lifelong West Virginian, I am so proud of you in particular for wearing that cap for us. And I'm proud of you for your tenacity, and for you, Mr. Karam and Team Equitrans, for your tenacity. You don't see it every day, but I guess everything worth getting is hard sometimes, right? Hopeful for regular order, and maybe that spirit carrying through in regular order, but we'll just savor this victory for today and not say, what have you done for me lately, right? Right. That's all I've got to say on that.
I'm Diana Charletta with Equitrans Midstream. Tom said everything I told him to say, so but I would like to thank you personally. It's been quite a battle. And to thank you for our employees here in West Virginia. We have hundreds of employees and families that have lived here all of their lives, that work every day to take gas to market. There's a pride there with them. And in the last couple of years, getting beat up takes a little bit of that away. So I know that personally, very important for me, but very important for the people that live and work here. We're thrilled to put local technical workers back to work. We've been waiting for years, so we're thrilled. Thank you very much.
Let me just say this, then we'll do a little press schedule. Let me say that basically what's happened in the country, every issue, no matter what it is, they force it to the extremes to where you want to pick a side. What side are you on? I think everyone in this room should be environmentalist. We all are environmentalists. You don't want them. We don't want dirty water, dirty air, or anything. But also, we're realists. You've got to have energy that runs the country. You've got to have horsepower. I just did my committee Thursday. We did about a 2.5 hour hearing on reliability. We made all of them. We made NERC, which is the energy regulator. They are basically the national energy reliability, but it's based around all reliable. They do all the evaluation of all the systems that provide energy, and all like we're in a PJM, of all these delivery systems to find out if they're in critical situation. They put a map up, and we showed a map about how critical this country is because of unreliable supply chains. We're taking dispatchable, which is 24/7. So you got coal, nuclear, and now gas is being used as dispatchable 24/7. That's it. That is it. So you get wind and you get solar when the wind blows and when the sun shines. And we don't have storage enough. So the people that are pushing, we have to go renewable, renewable, renewable. That's fine. I like renewables. I want a little bit of everything. I just want the lights to come on when the wind's not blowing. I want the furnace to work when the sun's not shining. I mean, this is a practical approach to how you do things. So you have to have the reliability into the system. They can't starve you out. But what happens is what side and this group, environmental groups and the industry groups, they should be working more together to find out how do we deliver it, how do we all win from it. A lot of people made a business out of, truly a business model, out of stopping or slowing or just holding these up. It's a business model. And we see it every day. They use the court system for facilitative. And it shouldn't be. We all believe in the rule of law, but sometimes, someone's judge got to make a decision. It's time to we made a decision. That's what we did. So we're proud of that. Like I said, this will be, I think, a picture perfect project. We're happy to show. And my understanding that you have about 170 miles that have been reclaimed. That neighborhood?
Yeah,
and that
totally reclaimed.
Totally
Permanently
reclaimed.
restored, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got 283 miles where the pipe's been laid. 170 is totally reclaimed. And I said, why didn't you reclaim the other 100 miles? Court wouldn't let them. You can't get your equipment on. So then they get sued for not reclaiming and putting everything back for sedimentation. I said it's a catch-22. You've got them caught in a trap to where you're going to be able to show the worst of the worst because you won't let them go back and stop them from reclamation. It's awful, just awful, and that's what we got over. So I think we got over the hurdle. Tom, I hope that the timing and everything works out well. I know we have there's a procedure you're going through right now, right? That's more of a procedure, isn't it?
We have some filings we have to make with the court. We have one more permit to be issued from the Army Corps of Engineers. If all things go according to plan, we should be able to be deploying, mobilizing, and under construction again early July. That would allow us to finish before the end of the year.
That means the product will be in market really by
For winter.
For the winter, hard winter.
Winter.
That's our goal. So that's pretty quick. That's pretty darn quick. Yeah.